Do you know that long before the storytellers shaped the legend of the genie in the lamp, there was a tale whispered across the deserts of an old kingdom, a tale of a poor young man, a tale of an impossible discovery, a tale of 3 wishes that almost destroyed him. This is that story, not the polished version told to children, but the real one, the one passed down through generations of grandmothers around fading fires. The story of a hunter named Jalal. In a small village at the edge of a great desert kingdom, there lived a young man named Jalal. He had no father. He had no inheritance. He had no name in any palace record book. What he had was a bow, a worn leather quiver, and a heart that refused to grow cold. Jalal was an animal hunter. Every morning before the sun rose, he would walk into the wilderness alone. He hunted to feed his old mother. He hunted to feed the widows in his community. He hunted to feed the orphans no one else cared about. When a family had no food, Jalal brought them meat. When a child cried from hunger, Jalal carried bread. When an elder grew weak, Jalal sat beside them and asked, "What do you need?" He gave everything and kept almost nothing for himself. The whole village knew his name: Jalal the kind, Jalal the brave, Jalal the giver. But here is the painful truth. The same people who praised him never truly loved him back. When his clothes were thin, no one offered him new ones. When his shoes broke, no one repaired them. When he was sick, no one came to check on him. They took, they received, they smiled when he arrived. But the moment he turned away, they forgot him. Some even mocked him quietly behind his back. What kind of man wastes his life feeding people who do not feed him? He is poor because he is foolish. If he were truly clever, he would care for himself first. Jalal heard the whispers. He felt the loneliness. But he refused to stop being good, because deep inside, he believed something the world did not understand. That kindness was not a transaction. It was who he was, and he would rather die kind than live cruel. One day, the bells of the kingdom rang out. The royal procession was passing through their village. Villagers ran out, lining the dusty road, eager to glimpse royalty. Banners flew, horses thundered, armored guards marched in perfect rhythm. And then, in the center of it all, a carriage of gold and ivory. The window slid open just a little, and Jalal saw her, the princess. For one breath of time, their eyes met. She had skin the color of warm honey, dark hair flowing like the night river, eyes that carried both gentleness and sorrow. And in that single moment, something inside Jalal awakened. It was not lust. It was not greed. It was something deeper, something pure. He had never spoken to her. He did not even know her name. But he knew he would carry her face in his heart for the rest of his life. The carriage rolled past. The procession disappeared down the road. And Jalal stood there, a hunter from a forgotten village, dreaming of a girl who lived in a world he could never enter. A king's daughter, a poor man's impossible hope. He laughed quietly at himself. A man like me, dreaming of a princess. What a foolish heart I have. But the heart does not always listen to reason. And from that day on, every time the wind moved at sunset, he thought of her. Months passed. Life returned to its quiet rhythm. Jalal continued hunting, continued giving, continued being forgotten, until one morning, a morning that would change everything. Jalal woke before sunrise. The village was still silent. He kissed his mother's hand as she slept, slung his bow over his shoulder, and walked into the jungle. The forest that day felt different. The birds were quiet. The wind was still. The trees seemed to hold their breath. But Jalal had hunted in this jungle 1,000 times. He pressed deeper than usual, searching for game, following a faint trail of hoofprints in the damp earth. He walked for hours, past trees he had never seen, past streams he did not recognize, past stones with strange markings carved into them by hands long dead. He should have turned back, but something pulled him forward. A whisper in the wind, soft as breath, as if the jungle itself was leading him somewhere. Then suddenly, a sound froze him in place. A growl, low, deep, ancient. He turned slowly, and there it was. A lion, massive, golden, terrifying. Its eyes locked onto his. Its muscles tensed. For one heartbeat, the world stopped. and then it charged. Jalal ran, faster than he had ever run in his life. His feet flew across roots and fallen branches. His lungs burned. His heart pounded against his ribs. Behind him, the lion roared. Closer, closer. He could feel the ground tremble beneath the beast's paws. He could almost feel its breath on his back. Jalal dropped his bow, dropped his quiver, dropped everything except his life. He plunged deeper into the jungle, deeper than any hunter had ever gone. Branches tore at his skin, thorns ripped his clothes, but he did not slow, because to slow was to die. He ran until his legs felt like fire. He ran until his vision blurred. He ran until even fear could no longer keep him moving. And then, the roars began to fade. The lion had lost him, or perhaps lost interest. Jalal collapsed against a tree, gasping, bleeding, alive. But when he finally lifted his head, he realized something far worse than the lion. He had no idea where he was. The trees were unfamiliar. The sky was barely visible through the dense canopy. No paths, no markers, no way home. He was lost. Completely, utterly lost. Jalal wandered for hours. The sun began to dim. The jungle grew darker. The shadows grew longer. He knew if night fell upon him fully, he would not survive. Then, through the trees, he saw something. A wall of black stone. A cave. Its mouth gaped open like the entrance to a forgotten world. Cold air drifted out from inside. Cold and strange. Jalal hesitated. Every instinct told him to walk away. Every fear screamed for him to find another path. But something else, something deeper, pulled him forward. He gathered a dry branch, wrapped it in cloth from his torn tunic, struck flint against stone until it caught fire. A torch flickered to life in his trembling hand. He stepped into the darkness. The cave walls were carved with symbols, ancient, unreadable, glowing faintly. The air grew colder, the silence grew heavier, and then, he heard it. A voice, soft, slow, almost human. Jalal, come, save me. Jalal froze. His blood went cold. Who is there? He whispered, but the only reply was the same gentle whisper. Jalal, come, save me. He should have run. Any wise man would have run. But the voice was so sad, so tired, so trapped. And Jalal was not a wise man. He was a kind one. So he stepped forward, deeper into the dark. His torch flickered against the walls. His footsteps echoed. The whisper grew louder, closer. Then suddenly, the ground beneath him cracked. The stone gave way, and Jalal fell. He fell through darkness for what felt like forever, until he landed, hard. Pain shot through his back and shoulder. Dust filled his mouth. His torch had fallen beside him, still burning. Slowly, he opened his eyes, and he could not believe what he saw. He was in a massive chamber, a room hidden beneath the world. The walls were carved gold. The floor was covered in coins, coins of every kingdom, cups of jewels, crowns of dead kings, swords with handles of ruby, statues of forgotten gods, mountains of treasure piled higher than his head, riches enough to buy 10 cities. Jalal stood slowly, trembling. For the first time in his life, he was surrounded by wealth he could not imagine. But strangely, he was not happy, because his heart was searching for something else. Something the whisper had drawn him toward. He walked slowly through the treasure. His torchlight glittered against the gold. His footsteps echoed in the silence. Then he saw it. Not a crown, not a chest, not a jeweled weapon, but a small object, resting alone on a pedestal at the very center of the chamber. A golden kettle, plain, small, almost humble, surrounded by treasure, yet somehow, it was the only thing that glowed with quiet life. He approached it slowly. His hand trembled as he reached for it. He lifted it carefully. It was warm. He turned it in his fingers, and then, he opened the lid. For one long second, nothing happened. Then, light. Golden light burst from the kettle, a column of swirling fire that rose to the ceiling. Jalal stumbled backward, shielding his eyes. When the light settled, a figure stood before him, a genie, towering, skin like molten gold, eyes that held 1,000 years of wisdom, a voice that vibrated through the stone walls. You have freed me, mortal. Jalal could not speak. He could not breathe. The genie looked down at him with an expression, not of joy, but of weariness. "For this," the genie said slowly, "you are granted 3 wishes. But listen carefully, for I have walked this earth longer than any kingdom in your history, and I must warn you, 3 wishes have destroyed every man who ever held them." Jalal's heart pounded. 3 wishes. Anything he wanted. His mind raced. A palace, servants, gold, strength, a throne, a name remembered forever. But the genie raised his great hand. "Do not rush. Do not speak. Hear me first." Jalal closed his mouth. The genie's voice deepened. "Before you ask, I beg you, do not ask for power, and do not ask for endless wealth. Because power is never enough. The man who has a little wants more. The man who has much wants all. The king who rules a kingdom dreams of ruling the world. And wealth is the same poison. A man who has nothing dreams of having something. A man who has something dreams of having everything. A man who has everything still feels empty. I have seen kings, warlords, sorcerers, conquerors. All of them stood where you stand now. All of them asked for power. All of them asked for wealth. And all of them died, alone, hated, empty. So before you wish, mortal, think. Think carefully. Think with your soul." Then the genie folded his arms and waited. Jalal stood frozen, a young man with nothing, now standing before a being who could give him everything. His mind spun. What should he ask for? His mother was old and tired. The widows back home had no food. His shoes were torn. His clothes were patched. He had been forgotten by everyone he had loved. He had no power. He had no wealth. He had no name. He had no princess. He had no future. And yet, the genie's warning echoed in his bones. Power is never enough. Wealth is never enough. Jalal lowered his head. Tears rose in his eyes. For the first time in his life, he realized something painful. His whole life, he had been giving to people who never gave back. And now, when he could finally take, he did not even know what to ask for, because the things he truly wanted could not be wished into existence. He wanted love. He wanted to belong. He wanted his kindness to mean something. He wanted his mother to live without pain. He wanted the world to be just a little less cruel. How does a man wish for those things? He wiped a tear from his cheek. The genie watched him in silence. And then, something gentle passed across the genie's golden face. A flicker of pity, a flicker of memory, as if he had once been just like Jalal, long, long ago. Jalal lifted his head. His voice was quiet but steady. "Great Spirit, I do not want a throne. I do not want a kingdom. I do not want chests of gold." The genie tilted his head slightly. Jalal continued, "My mother is old. She has worked her whole life. Her hands tremble. Her back aches. Her eyes are tired. For my first wish, I ask only this. Give my mother comfort. Take away her pain. Let her live the rest of her years happy and at peace." For a long moment, the genie did not move. Then he closed his eyes and bowed his great head. "It is done." Warm wind passed through the chamber. Jalal could feel it somewhere far away, in his small village. His mother sat up suddenly in her bed. The pain that had haunted her bones for 30 years vanished. Her eyes brightened. Her smile returned. She did not know why, but she would never suffer again. The genie opened his eyes. "A pure wish. A rare wish. You have surprised me, mortal." Jalal said nothing. Tears were streaming down his face. For the first time in his life, he felt powerful. Not because he held magic, but because his love had finally protected someone. "And your second wish?" the genie asked. Jalal took a long breath. "For my second wish, I ask not for myself. I ask for my community. There are widows in my village who go to bed hungry, orphans who cry in the night, elders who cannot afford medicine. I ask that every family in my village never go hungry again, that their barns be full, their wells be clean, their children be strong." The genie stared at him for a long, long time. His eyes shimmered with something that almost looked like sorrow, or admiration, or both. "You stand before infinite power, Jalal, and you do not ask for yourself." Jalal smiled faintly. "My whole life I have given. I do not know how to stop." The genie lifted his hands. A golden wave of light spread outward from the cave. flying through stone and earth, racing across miles of jungle and desert, until it washed gently over Jalal's distant village. In that village, empty barns suddenly filled with grain. Dry wells suddenly bubbled with clean water. Sick children suddenly opened their eyes, cured. Widows who had cried themselves to sleep found bread waiting at their door, and no one knew where it came from. No one knew it was Jalal. No one, just as he had always lived, unseen, unthanked, unloved. But he did not care. His joy was real. His kindness was finally being multiplied. One wish remains, the genie said softly. Jalal looked down at his torn shoes, his patched tunic, his thin frame. Now was his moment. He could ask for anything: a palace, a wife, the princess, riches, a title, anything. And yet, Jalal stood silent for a long, long time, because he realized he did not want any of those things. His mother was healed, his village was saved, and the things he truly desired could not be granted by magic. Love must be earned. Belonging must be built. The princess must choose freely. A wish could not give him a real heart that would love him back. So slowly, Jalal raised his eyes to the genie and said something the genie had never heard in all his 1,000 years of existence. Great Spirit, for my third wish, I ask that you go free. The genie did not move. He could not. What did you say? Jalal stepped closer. You have been trapped inside that kettle for ages. You have served greedy men, selfish men, cruel men. You have watched them destroy themselves with every wish. You have carried their punishments without ever being free yourself. I wish that you be released forever. No master, no kettle, no more wishes, just freedom. The genie staggered backward. For the first time in millennia, his golden eyes filled with tears, real tears, falling like rain onto the cave floor. He fell to his knees before the young hunter. In all my long existence, no one has ever wished for my freedom. His voice broke. You, a poor hunter, with torn shoes, with nothing in this world, have given me the one gift I could never give myself. Jalal smiled gently. I know what it feels like to be invisible. I know what it feels like to give and never receive. I would not wish that pain on anyone, not even a spirit. The genie stood, trembling. His chains of magic dissolved into mist. His skin shone brighter than ever before. He looked at Jalal with eyes full of love and full of grief. You will be remembered, Jalal, not by kings, not by histories, but by something greater than all of them, by the heart of the universe itself. And then, the genie raised his hands one final time. Go home, Jalal. Your path will guide itself. May the goodness you have carried return to you 100-fold, in ways you do not expect, in a time you do not see coming. The chamber flashed with golden light, and Jalal closed his eyes. When Jalal opened his eyes, he was back outside the cave. The jungle was quiet. The sun was rising softly through the trees. The cave entrance was gone, sealed behind solid stone, as if it had never existed. He looked at his hands, still empty. He looked at his clothes, still torn. He had no gold, no jewels, no proof, nothing, except the warmth in his chest. He began to walk. For 2 days, he wandered through the jungle, following the rising sun, hungry, thirsty, bleeding, but strangely, at peace. Then on the 3rd day, he stepped out of the trees and saw his village in the distance. But something had changed. The fields were greener, the huts were stronger, children were laughing in the streets. Smoke rose from every cooking fire. The whole village was full of life. When the villagers saw him, they ran toward him with tears in their eyes. Jalal, you are alive. We thought the jungle had taken you. Something miraculous happened while you were gone. His mother came running, stronger than he had ever seen her. She embraced him so tightly he could not breathe. My son, you are home. Jalal could not stop the tears. He had given everything, and somehow, life had given him back the only thing he had ever truly wanted: to be welcome, to be embraced, to be seen. Years passed. Jalal never spoke of the cave, never spoke of the genie, never spoke of the wishes. He simply continued doing what he had always done, quietly, humbly, faithfully. hunting, giving, caring. One day, the royal procession returned to his village. The same bells, the same banners, the same horses. But this time, the carriage stopped, the door opened, and the princess stepped down. She was no longer the young girl he had glimpsed years ago. She was a woman now, still beautiful. She walked through the crowd. The villagers fell silent, and she stopped, directly in front of Jalal. "They told me about you," she said softly. "They told me there is a man in this village who has spent his life giving everything to people who once gave him nothing. I had to come see you with my own eyes." Jalal lowered his head. "I'm not worthy of your visit, my princess," she smiled. "That is exactly what makes you worthy." For a long moment, they simply looked at each other, and in that moment, Jalal felt the same awakening he had felt years ago. But this time, it was return. This time, she saw him too. The story does not end with a wedding. It does not end with a crown. It does not end with thrones or palaces, because that is not what this story is truly about. This story is about something older, something deeper, something the world keeps forgetting. That the truest power is not the power to rule. The truest wealth is not the gold in your hand. The truest love is not what is given to you, but what you continue to give, even when nothing comes back. Jalal had nothing his entire life, but he was richer than every king who ever sat on a throne, because his heart was free. Somewhere in your story, your harvest is coming. It may not look like a princess. It may not look like a treasure. It may come as peace, as healing, as love that finally finds you when you have stopped searching. The world will never tell you this loudly, but the old voices, the old stories, the old whispers across the desert have always known. Kindness is not weakness. Kindness is the most powerful magic a human soul can carry, and one day, it always finds its way back home.